Village of Salado, regular Board of Aldermen meeting, Salado Municipal Building, 301 North Stagecoach, Salado, Texas, October 3rd, 2019. The time is 6:30. The agenda, call to order, roll call, Secretary. Here. 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 Michael.
Well, the invocation today is, we're going to do that first?
Yeah.
Invocations by Mr. Jimmy Hodge, representing the Salado Methodist Church.
Hi, Jimmy. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Skip.
Good.
I appreciate the opportunity to open this meeting tonight. Let's pray. Lord, we meet tonight to conduct village business. Guide hearts and minds in the spirit of fairness, right thoughts and speech. Impart your wisdom on these activities to reach a successful conclusion. In the Lord's name we pray. Amen.
Thanks.
Sir.
Mike told me that you said that you could pray than any of us. You can.
Yeah.
That's very, and it's short too.
Now, Your Honor, it's my favorite time of the board meeting. We have two volunteers that come forward to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge. The first one is Evan Hart. Come on up, Evan. Evan is a ninth grader here in the Salado School District. He is a Life Scout with the Boy Scouts here, and we're very pleased to have him here today. Second volunteer is Lola Hodge. She's a sixth grader. She's a member of the Student Council. She's avid in sports with basketball, volleyball, and every other sport that they have apparently there. So we appreciate your time for your parents and grandparents to get here, and we appreciate your time for doing the pledge.
May we stand, please? Y'all want to come up here? Come on.
I'm sorry. I'm going to follow them and take a photo if that's all right. More than welcome. Wrong side.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. You can be seated. Wait a minute, guys. Wait a minute. Just pull yourself up there. Good to see you all. Thank you very much for helping with the pledge. That's really good. You're a Life Scout. When are you going to be the rest of the Scout?
Hopefully by the end of the year.
You're working on it?
Yes, sir.
Boy, that's great. Life Scout is a real big honor. That's what they you're in the ninth grade.
Yes, sir.
That is a real big honor for your age. You'll be an Eagle Scout before long.
Yes, sir.
It's good. It's good. And you like sports? If I ever tell you, you're very pretty. Did you know that? Just sitting here, you do us all. Not good sitting out here. You're very pretty. That's good. What is your favorite thing?
Like what do you do sport?
What?
Like what favorite thing in sport or
Sports is your favorite. What is your favorite sport?
softball?
Softball. Do you have A's and B's?
Yes, sir.
Do you have all A's?
Yes, sir.
You have all A's?
Yes, sir.
McDougal's not here, that's good. You guys are going to be going to Annapolis, are you not? The Naval Academy?
I will, sir.
Oh, you're such a man. All right, just stay sitting here for the rest of the time. That's good. And where do you want to go to college?
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech, Red Raven. That's good. My son went to Texas Tech. That's really good.
You can leave now, Lola.
Pardon?
She can leave now.
You guys okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I need for you to do me a favor, will you? Would you please tell the people here that we're getting ready for a proclamation? You guys speak into that?
You can do it, Evan.
Evan can do it. But it's going to be an Eagle Scout can do it.
We are getting ready for a proclamation.
That's very good. Holy cow. Well, folks, this is your mayor. You got him for the night. What do you think? Thanks, guys. Good to see
Thank
you.
you.
Proclamation. Alan, would you please come forward? Village of Salado. Proclamation. Whereas the Carnegie Hero Fund was established in 1904 by industrialist, philanthropist Andrew Carnegie and the Carnegie Hero Fund. Commission awards the Carnegie Medal to individuals in the United States and Canada who knowingly risked their lives to an extraordinary degree while saving or attempted to save the lives of others. And whereas more than 10,000 Carnegie medals have been awarded since the fund's inception, and more than $40 million has been given in one-time grants, scholarship aid, death benefits, and continuing assistance to recipients of the survivors. And whereas one of the 2019 recipients, honored for his act of extraordinary heroism, is this young man, Salado resident Alan Sirois, who on May 26, 2018, rescued truck driver Melvin Belcher from his burning truck after a highway accident in Belton, partially extinguishing the blaze with a fire extinguisher and helping to pull the driver out of the burning cab to safety. And whereas Alan displayed exceptional bravery in saving the life of Mr. Belcher, who was trapped inside the crushed cab of the truck where flames had breached the driver's door and windshield, with both men sustaining minor burns from which they later recovered. And whereas, because of the outstanding judgment and the prompt action exercised by Alan, the driver escaped serious injury and almost certain death from exploding diesel fuel and the encroaching fire. And whereas Alan selfishly and without regard for his personal safety made a split-second decision of a life and death, nature to perform a purposeful, distinctive, and successful life-saving act on another human being. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Skip Lansett, Mayor of the Village of Salado, on behalf of the Board of Aldermen, citizens of Salado, congratulate Alan, recipient of the Carnegie Medal, for his great courage and express our warm appreciation and sincere gratitude for his heroic actions in saving the life of another. An official recognition whereof I hereunto set my hand and cause to be affixed the seal of the village of Salado, Texas, on this, the 3rd day, October 2019. Alan.
Thank you all very much. Growing up in Salado, playing at the creek and doing stuff like any of these kids nowadays do. My grandmother raised me here in town, and my grandfather always kind of pushed forward towards doing the right thing. And I think that whenever I get awards and stuff like this, I feel like that's the right thing to should have been done, and I don't think that anything should have went any differently. And in my time being a scout, I also learned important things that helped me whenever I did do this, but I wouldn't change it. And thank y'all very much.
Alan, is your family here? Yeah. Would y'all mind joining us up here, please? Come on up. How are you tonight?
Linda.
Hi, Linda. How are you? Hello, Leo. How are you? I really like your beer. That's cool. All right. Well,
We're 7th generation Salado,
7 generations,
Bell County.
Bell County. You're the real McCoy here. The rest of us are just little people, just little newcomers.
I worked at Scott Mine for many years. And many people are going to say, oh, you know, so-and-so is the one that moved there after 1970.
That's good.
Because I don't know many people that are here.
Very good.
So, we love our little town.
It's a great town, isn't it? Monroe, how long, have you lived here that long too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
We went to first grade together. That old
That old
red brick school.
red
The
brick?
church here.
Did you?
The Church of Christ.
I'll be. Church of Christ. Right across the street.
No.
Oh, it was right here back then. Holy cow.
This is the new Church of Christ.
Oh,
The old one is that wooden building over there on Main Street.
Church place.
what did you do as your vocation?
Rancher.
A rancher. You know, we ought to just sit down with you somewhere and record what you remember about Salado. I'll bet that would really be a good history for other people to listen
My
to.
daughter works at Village Voice, and she kind of keeps y'all informed, I think.
Yeah, she does. She does. Well, I know you're proud of this young man.
Yes.
Would y'all mind coming over here and joining me, please? Folks, would y'all come up? Oh, this is your grandson?
Yeah.
The next is citizens' communications, and all but one of these wants to speak at the time when we talk about the sewer. The only one who will speak now is Mr. Paul Cox. Paul, your address and your name.
Paul Cox, 2716 Winter Circle Drive in Salado. When I was interviewing with the board for a position on the Planning and Zoning Commission, I was asked by Mayor Blanchett that if I was sure I wanted to volunteer, since there'd be times when there'd be conflict and some decisions would be unpopular by some people. And I told him I was aware of the responsibility of the position and would be able to make objective decisions based on facts and the law and not on my personal feelings. And I've held that belief for many years in my life, that elected officials have a higher obligation to act what's best for the entire community, not for their personal view on a particular subject. And after meeting with our attorneys that we were all in, that confirmed what I said, because everybody is in this dais and on the planning and zoning is held to a higher standard than a citizen getting up and speaking. We are expected to be objective about our decisions and to vote according to the law and what the facts are in the situation. And it's, and I've seen that not happening too many times. And one prime example, I think, is the golf course Hart ordinance that was passed by one vote, modified. There was evidence brought forward to this board's attention that, from me and others, and opinions from our legal counsel, that the majority of this board seemed to totally disregard when it came time to vote. And there were information provided by me and others about the golf course ordinances in many other communities, not far from us, most of them, some of them further away. But the fact is, all of them have tougher ordinances. They all require driver's licenses to drive the cart. They only require driving in daylight hours, no driving after dark anywhere. And yet and I presented some of this information, plus our attorney advised that we adopt those same standards. And yet, you guys voted to do what you wanted to do, and two of you had very personal reasons for it, because you stated in the previous meeting why you were doing it, because you can't take your grandkid on your lap driving around town anymore if you pass that. Personally, I think you should have abstained from the vote. You think that's funny?
Time's up.
Well, yeah. So are some others.
Thank you, Paul. Second one is the consent agenda. A, approval of minutes of the regular Board of Aldermen meeting of September 19th, 2019. B, approval of minutes of the special Board of Aldermen meeting on September 17th, 2019. I'll entertain a motion, please.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Question.
Question has been called. All in favor, raise your hand, please. Opposed, likewise. Passes. Status reports. Don?
Yes, sir, Mayor, I'll run through my item rather quickly, as I know we've got a lengthy agenda from a public speaking standpoint. First of all, the status report on the wastewater project. As you know, October 1st was the deadline to connect properties in the initial service area to the new wastewater system. That deadline has passed. Today, approximately 50% of the properties have connected or in the process of connecting to the wastewater system. And when I'm talking about or in the process of, just so people understand what we're talking about, They either have come in, they've paid an additional impact fee installment, they've paid the entire impact fee. They're working with us to try to figure out if their impact fee is an accurate number based on water usage. They're discussing with us the logistics of getting connected. There's several variables as far as that situation. They're in the process and in discussions with the village as far as getting connected to the system. TCEQ conducted its initial inspection of the wastewater treatment plant and lift stations. No major issues found, just a couple of minor matters related to the plant startup, and all really went well. Exploring online payment options for the Salado wastewater customers. Right now, they have to come in and pay with basically a cash check or money order. We're looking at trying to get it set up to the point where we can do that via credit card. That's a request of many of the customers. Also, just a quick note, all Salado ISD facilities are online with the wastewater system with the exception of the high school, and that's expected to be tied into the new wastewater system in the coming days. They had to go through an approval process at TCEQ to decommission their existing station at the high school. Staff's report on the Pace Park Improvement Project. The playground was inspected this week by the village's insurance carriers. You know, we talked about the concerns relating to that particular facility. Recommendations from that inspection included adding some safety signage, removing some trip hazards, painting wood supports. No need to close it at this time. The feeling, though, is the fact among all parties that that playground, and we've talked about this before and during budget, it's outdated and it needs to be replaced sooner than later, much sooner than later if possible. We'll be working with the Parks Board to look at some solutions along those lines. Crews have completed the level-up work down in the lower end of the park. Mowing is now underway at this stage of the game. And the village staff is currently meeting with Civic Club representatives to discuss potential funding partnerships and grants relating to future park improvements down at Pace Park. Staff report on the golf cart ordinance. The village staff is preparing a citywide mailer to educate residents about the recent changes to the regulations relating to night driving and the required equipment. The police department will be proactive in its enforcement of these new regulations. That basically means don't expect a bunch of tickets to be written for these new regulations. More than likely, there'll be courtesy stops or warnings issued for a period of time before any type of violations are issued. You know, it's new for people, and we are understanding the fact that it'll take a little bit of time to get everything in order for the cars and such. The golf cart operators are reminded that they are required to abide by the rules of the road. They have been in the past, and they still are in the past required to abide by the rules of the road, which means they must stop at stop signs, DWI is an issue, open containers, etc. Keep in mind those rules will be enforced by officers when violations are observed. Typically, those are not warnings. Those are actually tickets or some other means of action. And just so you know, the question lingers about driver's license and insurance requirements. And our PD is not going to visit with the judge and the prosecutor about this particular issue in our municipal court. And the consensus is that we need to seek an AG's opinion on driver's license and insurance requirements for carts and not just go with what DPS says. They would feel more comfortable as far as cases coming to the court, so we're going to be pursuing that option. So again, we will not be writing any insurance or DL tickets until such time as we get some type of reading back, of course, comfortable with that they've got standing to proceed in your cases. That does not mean, though, we will not be writing tickets for other types of violations like running stop signs and things along those lines. A couple of miscellaneous matters just to update you on. The equipment to light the two new gateway signs on Interstate 35 have been ordered. Once received, the contractors will move forward with lighting the signs as you have directed us to do. Bid proposals will be sought next week from auditing firms to perform the 2019 Village of Salado audit, and of course the required single audit for the EDA grant that we'll have to do this year because we're closing that project out. Crews are making progress in the effort to install drainage pipe on Main Street. The Main Street improvement project still on track. They're telling us to be completed in the spring of 2020. We're working with them on schedules. We've had some requests from some of the downtown merchants for some relief during Stroll as far as getting some of the construction work out of the way and if you will, suspended for a period of time so they're not interfering with guests and such. We're working with the contractor to see how far we can push that particular issue. Just a reminder that Main Street will be closed from January 4th for a period of about 40 days, probably a little bit less than that, but maximum about 40 days as crews are in there replacing the culvert that goes underneath Main Street at Rock Creek. And lastly, a Board of Aldermen report for this previous fiscal year that I thought you might be interested to know. You had 42 meetings in the last fiscal year, which ended at the end of September, a total of 63 hours and 45 minutes worth of meetings. Just in case you're wondering why the hair has gotten gray, right? 5 executive sessions in the entire year were held. There were 25 ordinances passed. Most of those were mandatory ordinances as far as certain types of things that require ordinances, not necessarily rules and regulations. And 4 resolutions were approved. So you had a busy year, and we appreciate your efforts and the time that you committed to this community. Mayor, that's all we've got from the administration.
Anyone want to ask questions to Don? We go to the second report, Salado Police Chief Status Report. Hi, Pat, how you doing? Really enjoyed the other night. That was very nice.
It was.
It was very nice.
Okay, for September, and I think I got all the slides fixed this time. Calls for service are up by 184 calls. So we handled 523 calls last month, 21 reports, 4 supplements. Issued got one arrest warrant, and there was 3 warrants served. We issued 123 citations, 90, and that's up 90 from last month. And of those, 77 of them were warnings, so about 62%. Made 2 arrests, and our response times. The next couple slides will show you my initiative to improve the response times. So you can see how our calls for service has gone up dramatically. And I'm assuming it's just school year starting. We got another school resource officer. He's handling quite a few calls that county was handling previously at the schools. So citations, as it shows the increase from last month, and crashes we had 6, so we had 2 more from previous month. Response times are down for priority 1. Last month it was a little bit higher than I wanted, and we've improved on that dramatically. So 2 minutes 40 seconds again came down a little bit on priority 2s, so 3 minutes 17 seconds, and then priority 3s were down about a minute and a half. So, and most people know you see our officers out on the road, and that's really getting them out there in the neighborhoods, which increases their response time as well. We did 205 house watches. So those of you who house watches in, officers are going around. Those of you who have cameras on your house and your camera goes off while you're on vacation, you see my officers walking around checking your door handles. They're out there walking around your house checking to make sure everything's okay. Our COPS program, we're preparing for the Serena Fest this weekend. We got the Scottish Gathering coming up next month, and then the Stroll in December. So we're working closely with the cops. We had our National Night Out on Tuesday this week. It was well attended. We had people that I would have liked them to stay longer, but we had a lot of people coming and going. So overall numbers were good. We held it at Johnny's Outback, and unfortunately we did lose an officer, so we were at full staff, but one of our officers had to resign after a short period of time due to personal reasons, and we are actively searching at this time. Any questions?
Any questions, please, to the chief?
Yeah, Chief, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
You said that, going back to your slide where it shows like 523,
Calls for service,
that's for when to when, just for this?
beginning of the month, end of the month.
Okay, so then you also mentioned there's something about the school. Was there more instances at the school?
No, just because we have an officer there, he's handling a lot of the calls that would have normally last year been handled by Bell County Sheriff's Department because they weren't in our jurisdiction. So having a school resource officer there is making more available to them, and they're more likely, they're using him probably a lot more than they would have last year.
Okay, thank you.
He didn't handle, believe me, 184 extra calls,
So,
but,
yeah,
you know, we had school year starts, your calls tend to increase as well, so.
Thank you.
Pat, why do you think there's such an increase this last time?
Increase in,
The number of calls that y'all answered, 184.
that I couldn't explain, you know, that's hit or miss every month. I think people are more willing to call us knowing that we're going to respond to them, and that's the sentiment we're getting. You know, it's like, I didn't know you guys took calls like this, so we'll take them. We are even taking calls that are actually out of our jurisdiction in the county because they're being told by other agencies, it's not our problem, we can't take a report on that even though it occurred in their jurisdiction. So my guys are more than willing to step up and help them to at least get the wheels turning for them because they're being told. And a lot of it's identity theft, credit card abuse being used, their credit card number being used in Colleen or Temple, and other agencies are telling them that's not we can't take the report, you need to file where you live. So, and it's a little bit of a runaround, so we're willing to help them because we don't want people walking away from us like, who's going to help us? So, we're not so inundated that we can't take the report to help them. So.
Good, I appreciate that. You're getting the same kind of treatment that Shane got with the volunteer fire department. Belton said we're not going to answer any fires outside our city limits. So Seamus had picked that up. And I appreciate what you do. Thank you very much. I don't worry about policemen since they've come aboard. Thank
We
you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other questions?
All right, thank you.
Hey, Shane. Good afternoon. Have you been on calls today? Yes. What day it goes by that you're not on calls?
Working on one right now. Do you want my slide? Okay. Mayor Alderman, I got my report for the month of September. We had 22 EMS calls in the city. We had 27 EMS calls in the county. We had 3 fire calls in the city. We had 10 fire calls in the county. We worked 3 motor vehicle accidents in the city. And we worked 9 motor vehicle accidents in the county. And that is my report for the month of September. I want to thank everybody for coming out to our fish fry. It was one of the best ones we've had in many years. So I want to thank everybody for coming out that was able to make it. We have a lot of October is fire prevention month. So at this time, this month we have 14 events scheduled for us to do. That's going to schools and seeing the kids, and so it's a very, very busy month for us. That's about it.
Very good, Shane. Questions to Shane, please.
I have a question for you, sir.
Yes.
A year to date, okay, I know that the population is growing, but are you experiencing more calls than normal from a year ago today? Or pretty much staying the same?
I'd have to look, but yes, from year to year, we're increasing, I think anywhere from 5 to 8% in calls.
So is there anything that you need to do your job better? Or is it just like new equipment, or pretty much everything you have is good to go?
Yes, there's always equipment improvement that we need, definitely, which we're working on. That's like purchasing the monitors that we needed that we had the kind of the fundraiser with the fish fry to help pay for those. But, we purchased those monitors and that Lucas, which, that, like we stated in some of the newspaper, and Tim advertised for us, and on Facebook, those just the 2 monitors that we got cost us $45,000. And then the Lucas was 16. So, in the past few months, we made a really big investment to keep because we are a LS department. We're one of the very few in Bell County that's volunteer. I think there may only be one other volunteer department that's actually a LS department in the county. So to keep our medical good, we've got to keep our equipment up. But yes, we always need newer equipment, better equipment, and with us going towards this ESD, if we can get it moved through and everybody behind us on that, that'll help us get the equipment that we need even more and get some manpower.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions or statements you'd like to make? Shane, you do a lot for this community, and I thank you for that. An awful lot, more than anyone probably ever knows. I want you to know I told you that I would try to get I have written to the federal congressman and our senator. Not that they're going to give us money, they're not going to do that, but they can help us find grants and stuff. Today is going to come, as you were talking about a few minutes ago, that we're going to have a paid file.
Yes. Sooner and later.
Sooner or later. You're exactly right. So maybe we'll be able to get you $100,000, maybe get the grants. I just pulled that figure out of the air.
Yeah.
I'd be happy for 20, but
Right.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
Hi, Chadley. Come on up.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing well.
That's
Doing
good.
well. So, you have the wrong one. Yeah, no worries. I have an update for you.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and start on it. So I, instead of giving you the same graph for the past couple months I've been giving you that shows the website traffic and social media growth, which is still trending in the same direction. I feel like it'd be a little bit boring to show you the same thing. So I have some insights from the last display campaign that we did, which was ran middle of June through middle of August, I believe. It was about a 2 or 3 month campaign. And these are some of the sort of insights that I told you a year ago, and probably since then as well, that people are tracking you on your phone, whether you like it or not, through the apps that you use, every time you use Google Maps, Google's using that data. Adara is a company that we, through our marketing folks, that partnered with, and it gives us insights as to who's coming here, where they're coming from, and that sort of thing. So this first map is a explanation of where people are coming from. You'll see Dallas is the biggest one, Houston's next, and an outlier, which seems like an outlier, is San Francisco. I spoke with people about this. I spoke with the marketing company, and then I also spoke with some folks at the governor's office with Trapo, Texas, some friends there, and they told me that California is our top market in Texas generally, and our media company told us that they are seeing this with a lot of destinations in Texas, so it's true. It doesn't, and this, keep in mind, this is within a very short period of time. It doesn't mean that our third top market is San Francisco. Just it means that during this time, the people that we were able to track, the number 3 spot was San Francisco. So this is what kind of helps us to drive our decisions as we move forward. The next chart is destinations that these same people also went to. And so these are sort of, we can start to think about these other places such as Chicago, New York, and Dallas, and to think about what might be pulling them to those destinations that's also pulling them to Salado. Again, just trying to learn about our market, and all of these things are going to help 2020 be a lot easier because we know who's coming here. We have a better idea, at least, of who's coming here. We're better able to attract them. That's all for that, and then just upcoming events. Serena Fest, as you know, this weekend. Art show opening at the winery with the Salado Cultural Arts District. October's full of events from Things at Barrow, Oktoberfest. Barton House is having it's kind of their second annual Sip and Savor event. Fourth Friday, which I'm trying to rally behind a little bit and try to see how we can improve that event. And then heading into November with the Scottish Games. And that'll be it for my update for you.
Okay. Amber, could you tell us a little bit? I know you've been working hard with Serena Fest. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so on Saturday morning at 11, we're going to have a parade. It's going to start at the north end entrance to Pace Park, come down in front of the bank and in front of like the Strawberry Patch, the Baptist churches, go across the Main Street Bridge, and then turn down Royal Street. It's not a motorized parade, so you'll see golf carts and a lot of kids walking, bicyclers, things like that. So it'll be a little slower paced parade, and lots of kids walking around and families. It's going to be a really neat little parade. Then it goes to the festival after that. The festival is going to be held behind Rose Yankees and behind Barrow's tennis courts. There's going to be tons of food trucks and vendors that are all going to be down there. We do have some parking you know, that's going to maybe be a little bit of an issue, but we're working through that. So there'll be some trolleys running and things like that. So I think it should be okay. We're also kind of using both sides of the creek this year. So on the north banks of the creek, just down from Pace Park, there'll be some activities there as well. And there's going to be some skydivers landing, and it's just going to be a really fun event. So it's very family-oriented, family-friendly. So we'd love for people to come out. It's not too late to join the parade. You literally sign up till the moments before. So we just want people to come down and enjoy it.
Very good. Y'all have any questions you want to ask Amber about this? Anybody out here want to ask Amber a question about this?
Put me on the spot. I just got here.
What time does it start? What time is it over?
It starts at 11. Boy, the end time just escapes me. It kind of ends, I think, 5 or 6-ish, but then Barrow just picks up with some more of the event, and it'll kind of go until
Live
Barrow
music
closes.
goes on later
Right?
than that, I believe.
So-
Live music goes on later than
Yeah,
that.
so the music and everything like that will just kind of switch over, and it'll keep on going. So.
Any other questions or comments you'd like to make?
Oh, and I should tell everyone why we're doing it. So we're raising money for an all-abilities playground that will be located on Main Street. It is proposed to be and agreed to be right now on the grounds of the Civic Center. And an all-abilities playground just really, it's not just for special needs kids or kids with different needs. It just allows those kids to play with neurotypical kids. So there's just no boundaries for a kid, whether they're in a wheelchair or whether they have autism. There's just no boundaries, so all the kids can play together. So it'll be a really neat deal. But for kids who are just neurotypical, they're just used to the same playgrounds, they're not going to notice the difference. They're just going to be a really fun place.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Chadley, anything else you want to say?
For the update, no. I have, I think I'm next on the list. This time last year I left, if you remember. I can do that again for tradition. I can come
Okay.
back.
Let's just go right into that while you're up there. Number 4, discussion and possible action. Discuss and consider possible action approving the fiscal year 2020 tourism marketing campaign for the village of Salado.
That's me. So, because we now know better who's coming, we're able to make better decisions on who we're targeting and where they are. As you can see, the biggest circle there is Houston. You might have noticed in the other one that most people there, or the number one destination or the number one origin city is Dallas. That means we're not going to ignore Dallas, but I think we have a pretty good standing with Dallas. And Houston has been showing a lot of promise, especially with digital marketing. So I want to be able to target them a little better. And so that's why you see the circle bigger there. I want to see more presence in Houston. Talked to some of our lodging properties, and they a lot of their overnight guests are coming from Houston. So, and then Austin is kind of our, I guess, tertiary market, if you will. We are going to do, generally speaking, the budget is, the bones are roughly the same. We had a really good year with marketing and trying to figure out our market and where to move forward from there. But there are some key changes that I want to show you. First is billboards. Last year we did digital billboards. The board and I agreed that we thought static, meaning not changing billboards, would be more effective than the digital. They stay up, they're lit overnight, you can start to expect them throughout the year. And we've got 2 waiting for us. One is south of Fort Worth, heading south on 35. The other is going to be heading into Austin on 290. Traffic count on both of these billboards is really high, and visibility is really good as well. And yeah, I felt that the people going to Austin from Houston, that's a good way to track. We'll be able to say, 45 minutes north of Austin, things like that, that'll help show people where we are and give some imagery there. Digital marketing we're keeping the percentage of the budget about the same, and we're still in line with what other destinations are doing in terms of how much of their budget they're spending on digital. But some examples, this on the left here, you see that banner that has a picture of the glass blowing studio and then 7 unique things you can only do in Salado. That is an example of a native article, and it's run and pushed out, and we get really high engagement. We've gotten really good engagement from those. People stay on our website for 3 or 4 minutes, which is really a really long time, and they're actually reading the article and clicking through and that sort of thing. Something new that we're going to try this year, we with reason, we did display ads, general internet advertisements last year, or this year, and we're going to do some search ads that will basically take that audience, and when they're searching for things to do, that sort of thing, they'll see them on Google, whatever search engine they use. And then print advertising has gone up from, next slide. Print advertising has gone up from this year, and one of the main relationships that we're going to work on is with Austin Monthly. They have a really strong audience in Austin, in the general Austin area. It's relatively affluent, and they're always putting out editions that look like the one you see here, weekend getaways, unique things around Austin that you can do. And I think it's a key relationship for us. Some of our existing businesses here in Salado and successful businesses in Salado advertise with Austin Monthly. So I think the more they see Salado, the more they'll be inclined to look further and discover more about us. And then on the right is something called See Texas First. We did it last year, but we actually got about 10,000 emails for our email marketing campaigns from this alone. So that's a very fruitful, as you might know, emails are hard to come by, and they're pretty valuable when it comes to communicating with people. And then, wait on that, go back. I wanted to talk about more of a general plan for this coming year, something we really didn't do this year, and mainly because we were still learning, we're still in building phase. But I really wanted to work on the messaging. And as you know, whenever I first started, I walked through town, I did a lot of interviews, I made a lot of notes, trying to figure out what Salado was, what it wanted to be. That's Main Street businesses, that's people who own businesses, that's citizens. And every time I would ask about Salado, instead of giving me attraction or something to do, they would tell me a story. And that stuck with me all this time, and I really didn't know what to do with it. And I had it written down. It sat on my desk the entire time. And so anyways, with that, I wanted to use that to inspire our messaging. And so we're going to use creative digital graphic design in conjunction with the following message to try to tell the story of Salado and try to encourage people to come here. So I'll just read it. From legends we can't prove to stories carved in stone, the village of Salado is a keeper of many tales. For 160 years, Texans have been writing the story of Salado. Help us write the next chapter. And to me, that last part is really indicative of what's happening here. I do believe that when people tell you the stories about Salado, at least in my experiences, there was always these eras. There was when the Van Bibbers bought the Stagecoach Inn, Grace Jones opened her shop, the Chisholm Trail. There's all these different eras of Salado, and I truly do believe that we're in a kind of a new era. It's a new chapter in Salado's history with all the changes, as we know. Down I-35, everybody's creeping up on us, and so I want to invite people to be a part of the next chapter. And so that's that. So I'm not a graphic designer, as you can see, but it's going to be prettier than that, and we'll use off of that. So that's all I have. Any questions?
Chadley, please.
Question for Chadley.
Uh-huh.
When you put your feelers out electronically, and this may not even be appropriate, you may not be able to answer this, but okay. I read an article about 4 years ago that said 1,000 people a day moved to Texas.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, but is there any way to sift through the data that you get to see the intent of people coming here? Is it tourism or is it relocation?
I would have to reach out to the governor's office for that. You're talking about Texas in general?
Just like Salado area.
The
Because you've
Salado
got these
area,
big
okay.
cities like San Francisco, Dallas, and the one on the East Coast. And I'm kind of wondering why somebody that far away would just want to come to Salado, or do they have intent of relocating?
Well, I think it's definitely that they're not coming just to Salado. I think they're either going to Dallas, they're going to Austin, they're going to San Antonio, which San Antonio has become a really, it's become a top destination because they've got an amazing team there that's done a really good job. But I think they're going to those places, and I think they're searching for things to do while they're here. Maybe they're staying for a week, week and a half, and they want other things to do, small towns to see, that sort of thing. That's my best guess. It's not definite by any means, but I can almost assure you they are not coming from San Francisco, flying into Killeen Airport and coming to Salado. I love Salado. I just think that's feasible, or that's believable, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you. Other questions or comments to Chadley, please?
Yeah, Chadley, whenever you're placing your billboards, I saw you have one up around Dallas and then on 290.
Yeah.
How effective is that compared to putting a billboard just right out here on that? Is there an analysis on that, or what's the logic on where you place the billboards?
Really, it's for me, it's traffic count and building the exposure to people. Having it north of Waco to me is important because there's a lot of people that are going to Waco from that Fort Worth area. And for me, I actually did Google Maps and trying to decide whether it was a bad decision to go 35 west versus east. I did a lot of Google Map searching to figure out, if somebody's to fly in to DFW and go to Waco for Magnolia, which there's people coming from all over the world, all over the country to do that, which route would Google take them naturally? And it would take them down 35 west. And actually, most of the Metroplex, if you're not in Dallas, most of the Metroplex will take you down 35 west to continue down 35. So that was my logic there. And again, it's heading out of Houston. We're going to be putting digital ads and maybe more in Houston, and really focusing a lot of our efforts in Houston. And so the more people see these ads, one of the biggest ways, or the best ways to make marketing effective is consistency and frequency. And you want them to see your ad often, and you want it to be consistent. You want the message to be consistent. My logic behind that was getting that Houston market that's going to be seeing our ads online, and then maybe they're leaving Houston towards Austin or towards this general area, and they see that billboard, and it just solidifies it in their mind.
How often do you anticipate changing the message on the boards?
So we'll, because they're static, they can't be changed every day like the digitals. I have budgeted for a total of 3 different designs. So I'm going to start with, if everything goes as planned, start with a holiday one, a general holiday one, and then go into, haven't really discussed it in detail because it's up in the air right now, but I was thinking spring and then like summer, fall type displays. It'll be seasonal.
And you are sticking with visit widget, right?
Yes, that's correct. And a lot of that, it's all the same. That's why I didn't bring it up. But it kind of runs the back end of the website. If you go to the website, I might have mentioned it last time, but the website's been expanded. But that visit widget, the app and all of it, it's all runs the back end of our website. So it's really fully integrated now. So I do encourage you to go to the website and look at it and give me any feedback that you have.
So that's more effective than having a sign out here that says, here's the ladle, come here.
I think for branding purposes, yes. If I'm trying to get people to exit off the highway, I would say maybe no, because they would have forgotten about us an hour down the road. But my goal is to get them to recognize Salado when they see it, and to get them to continuously think about Salado whenever they think about a place they might want to go. I do want them to exit, but my goal is I guess broader than that and larger than that. So I think we'd be selling ourselves short if we just had an exit now for Salado.
That doesn't mean if that billboard becomes available
Well,
in the future, but it's been locked up.
The Gerald billboard, that one I have a close eye on. They signed a 2-year contract on that one, and so I'm keeping up with that one. So I agree. I think somebody in Salado, if it's not us, somebody should have that board, not a truck stop in Gerald. So.
Any other comments or questions? Chadley, we've talked about this once or twice. First thing I see you everywhere around town, I hope you have a driver's license for that car that you drive every Saturday up and down. I really appreciate that. I really should say this to the Chamber of Commerce, but you work very closely with them. 20 years ago, Salado was the place to come. Quaint shops, beautiful spring, places to go golf. As times passed, Salado has found more competition. Waco, Hillsborough used to be, but San Marcos, Green, Hewitt, Valley Mills. If we're going to compete, we can't live on yesterday's dreams or even accomplishments. I'll tell you a quick story, and then I'm going to leave it at that.
Stories.
I'm going to tell you a quick story, and then I'll leave the rest with you.
Yeah.
When we did a burial at sea, we did it as best we could. Not because of burials at sea, but because of what we did wherever we went. We got the medal of the best ship in the fleet in the Pacific, USS Duluth LPD-6. I'll never forget, the captain called us all together after we received that. And he said, and there were no ladies on our ship, "Gentlemen, congratulations. However, I want you to enjoy it, but tomorrow is a whole new day." And I think that is something that Salado is going to have to hear and know. But then who am I? You'll be fine. Don't be so hard on yourself. Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, we're to discuss and consider possible action approving the fiscal year 2020 tourism marketing campaign for the village of Salado. Don, do you want to add anything to that?
No, sir.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion then.
Motion to approve the 2020 tourism budget.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion.
What is the amount? Is it just the budget we already approved?
Yes.
Does it consume all of it? Is it a percentage of it? Is it?
About $70,000, if I'm not mistaken. if I recall. Good part of your question, just.
So we're just approving the marketing campaign.
Framework for the money, yeah.
Right. I sure like billboards close to Salado. Turn here and play golf. But then I don't Google a lot when I'm driving down the highway.
Other discussion, please?
To tag on to that, I actually kind of appreciate the expansion, where he's going with this. I had actually talked about this years ago with a couple of other directors that aren't here anymore for tourism, that we needed to expand our potential because, you know, my first degree was in journalism and marketing, and this idea that, you know, for instance, you know, golf here, play here. Well, the people who are around here know there's a golf course, and may or may not have, or the ones that are just passing through on the highway, what are the odds that they have their golf clubs with them? I mean, you know, those kind of things. I think if we expand, and I agree, like if we have an opportunity to have some stuff around town, that's great. But those bigger marketing campaigns really need to be focused at places that have bigger people and bigger budgets to come in here and new blood, because people that are between Austin and Waco know we're here and either come or don't. You know what I mean? And so I agree. The only thing that I would do anything differently was to add some TV in there. So, but I really like it. I think he's going in the right direction. I really do.
Other discussion?
All right, so I'm back to my question again. Is this 100% of the budget? Is it
I mean, this is his whole budget for the
Yes.
whole year, so is it spread out throughout the year, or is it, okay. So
John?
It is spread out throughout the whole year, yes, and this is 100% of the budget.
100%.
And there's a contingency that's approved as part of that budget for emergency advertising in the event of disaster.
Okay. Other questions or discussion, please? Do I hear the call? Question? Question has been called. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed likewise? Passes. B, discuss and consider possible action regarding a plan to address those properties in the initial service area which have not yet connected to the Village of Salado's wastewater system. Don?
Mayor, this item is on the agenda to allow you to discuss and decide how you want to proceed in dealing with the properties that have yet to connect to the wastewater system. Again, about half of them have connected or in the process of doing so. You have some others who have expressed some concern about the impact fees, which I think you'll hear a little bit tonight about. Others that are struggling from a standpoint of dealing with some of the costs of connecting from a plumbing standpoint and those type of things. But that said, you're about halfway there, 6 months into the connection process. So it's before you tonight to look at. You have an ordinance that sets out civil as well as criminal penalties for people that don't connect by deadline. No one's saying we're going to go do that. You also have an ordinance that allows for for lack of a better phrase, forced connection process, which I think is much more difficult. That's allowed in the ordinance as an option to bring people on board. But again, there's been no decision made on how to proceed. That's the purpose of this, is to give you an opportunity to discuss. You may want to extend the deadline, from a standpoint of giving them a little bit more time. It's up to you tonight based on how you want to proceed.
John, is our lawyer standing by?
Yes, sir. The game plan is basically to allow you to take the public comment, to allow you to have board discussion, but before you make any decision, I think you've expressed interest in going in and talking to the attorney in executive session, and then coming out and taking what, if any, action you want to take.
Okay. Well, I have a number here, so I tried to keep them in order, and I'm sure I got them out of order because they came all during the preliminary for this. The first one is Glynn. Glynn, let me just say, if you've never done one of these before, and I'm sure you have, that you have 3 minutes, and there's the guy that's going to call it is Michael. You'll give your name, and you will give your address. We will not answer any questions that you ask us. We can't. But it doesn't mean we're not taking notes. It doesn't mean that we're not paying attention. That's just the way it is.
I understand. My name is Glynn Gantenbein, 500 Center Circle, 27 years. My wife and I own and operate Salado Creek Antiques, the building at the end of the street, the big sign. And the reason I'm here is in self-defense. First of all, I don't know why, when the taps were put in, and I don't think I'm the only case, but no one asked where it might be a good place to put it. When the excavation was being done, I went out and talked to the people, and I said, what do you have planned here? Well, I'm not the one that decides that. And I said, well, would somebody please come in? I mean, we're there 7 days a week. Well, I leave town for a few days, come back, it's all finished. And my tap is on my neighbor's property. So if you look down the street, and our building is corner to the right, and there's 5 feet, there's a fence. Doesn't come all the way to the street, but my tap is on the neighbor's property. I tried to approach the neighbor about trenching and doing a dual situation, but was turned down without discussion. So I came to the village and talked to Mr. Ferguson, explained that to him. So he said, well, that was before I talked to the neighbor, and then I came back, called after I talked to the neighbor, and I said he won't allow this. And he said, well, I think his words were, he's a good guy. I don't think there'll be any problem. I'll call him. So I didn't hear anything, and of course, you come down to City Hall, he's busy, you really can't get to see him. But what transpired is May 30th, and this was about April when this transpired. On May 30th, I sent an email for record, and I said, just a note to let you know, there is machinery next door, and I assume he is ready to install. As we discussed, he is adamantly against me using his property for trenching. I only have a 4.5 area to trench, so it would have been a great help to me to save us both money, but that didn't work out. I'm thinking, well, this will jog the memory, and maybe we'll get a call. And no response. June 12th, I just returned from South Texas. My neighbor finished installing his sewer hookup. I cannot do mine unless your location is moved to my property. But no response. So I guess this is my case to keep me out of jail and going financially bankrupt if you charge us, which people have been talking about. But for a number of years, I did training with a major corporation. And one of the main things we taught is that you never get as much out of your time as you do in something called follow-up. And most people don't follow up. And so I don't know what to do here, but, you know, I don't have a tap. And I'm not the only one that had a tap set where they couldn't use it. So I don't know why, in the first place, somebody didn't say, where will this work for you? And I think we'll be talking about the other fees involved, the impact fees. All I know is that every single definition you look up on the internet says new development. And I guess you've all been over this, and we're going to hear a lot more about that. Thank you for your time, and I would like to add one more thing. I know it's off the subject, but you're talking about billboards. And I know the city ordinance does not allow tall signs on the highway. I have the only tall sign on the highway. You can see it when you walk out or drive out. I put brand new faces on it this week for $17,000. It brings more people into Salado than any single sign or billboard. People come in our business constantly and they say, are there any other shops in Salado? Honest to God. We call it Salado. I know it should be Salado. They never heard of us, but that sign's what stops them. So I don't understand why, we don't allow signs on the highway, because that stops a lot of people. Off the subject, but thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, very quickly, let me jump in and just say, Mr. Gavin, I apologize if we did not get back to you in a timely fashion. I will tell you that, as we discussed in the beginning, that's the alternative that existed based on the proximity of the line, based on the location. It's a very tight location to try to get a tap in place. We're looking at alternatives, but it's going to be very difficult from that standpoint, and no one is taking you to jail, and no one's going to find you.
We only have to move over.
It's a challenge, logistically.
Okay. Janice?
Yes, I'm Janice Means, and my husband Vic and I live at 305 North Main, and we're active civically and love the village of Salado. We voted for the sewer because we know it is needed for the future of Salado. Never would we have voted for it if we'd had any idea of the cost and the controversy that this has caused. We're a very small fish in this big pond because there's so many others that when you compare us to our dilemma to some of the business owners, but our out-of-pocket cost is going to be between $15,000 and $20,000. And I'm saying that, and that's with the lowest impact fee. We have no way to recover any of this cost. And certainly, that is not how we planned to spend our money when we're in our middle 80s. Okay, we have a perfectly operating septic tank system. We will have an added monthly bill that we haven't had before. And to make bad matters worse, we're diligently working almost every single solitary day with electricians and plumbers to have our work done. And they all have more work than they can do, and certainly more than they want to do in Salado. It has been a total nightmare, and it's not good for our health or our attitudes. But my heart aches, literally aches daily for the residents in this village who have no way in the world that they can afford the expense of this, the cost of hooking up to the sewer, which is mandated. Their houses are mortgaged to the max, and they are struggling to make ends meet and living from check to check. How do you all expect them to pay for that? They can't go to the bank and borrow money, much less the payment for the impact fee. I just don't know what in the world. I have no idea, Alderman, what you all are going to do. And I'm sorry that you have to make the decisions, but we elected you to represent us. And so I do want to say up front that Vic and I are aware of the impact Salado group with regards to possible legal action. Just think of all the negative publicity and damage that's going to be done to our village. I mean, I just shudder to think of how the negative publicity will just be unbelievable. With TV, I would consider it to be, it will not be locally, it'll be also statewide and possibly nationwide. But we, the citizens of the village of Salado, have elected you to make our decisions for us. And I'm just here to plead with you to resolve this issue as soon as possible without destroying our beloved Salado.
Thank you very much.
Maybe made a mistake. There we go.
Jay?
Hopefully my timer doesn't start until I get my glasses on. I have lots I want to say, but 3 minutes means that I'm going to draw as quickly as I can, and I'll start with my name and address. My name is Jay Ritch. My address is 906 Indian Trail, Salado, Texas. I want to speak to you about the impact fees. And I want to preface this by saying that these are only my thoughts, and they do not bear any official sanction from my volunteer work for this village on the sewer rate committee. For single-family dwellings, my understanding was impact fees were expected to be equivalent to a single LEU. Now, a serious problem exists when the same formula is applied to a water service that's not a family residence. Some commercial property owners have approached me because I was on the committee, and they're facing $40,000 plus impact fees. There has to be a better solution for commercial property owners when the single-family living equivalency unit is applied. Regarding a $5,000 a day fine, bluntly, I consider this a strong-arm tactic for not completing the connections by the deadline. I ask you, how does that daily fine compare to a liquidated damages per diem that was in the sewer contract? Are we holding our citizens to a more severe standard than we held the contractor? I see no reason to contemplate this level of fine except to maximize punishment as the citizens groups try to work towards a solution and resolve this matter. I do believe that if this fine, as I understand it, is imposed, it will degrade the village's reputation as a fair-minded and an even-handed entity. Those are hard qualities to obtain, and they're much harder to recover. I am bothered by the fact that enough people have been so negatively impacted by this and by their attempts to work it out that they've, in their frustration, have reached out to legal representation and have formed a committee, a group. Has the village considered the exposure if the opposing opinion is correct? Is this the fight that should be prosecuted? What are the anticipated results? What's the upside if the village wins the position? We'll have a lot of people that are facing some severe $5,000 a day fines and impact fee assessments that are tens of thousands of dollars. That's going to hurt them. It's going to hurt our village. We'll take a beating in the social medias. We'll take a beating in the print and the television media. And it's, more importantly, it's going to haunt the efforts that this village makes to try to manage the growth that's coming in the near future. The committee members, the way we work, the way. That's my timer going off. One final thought, 15 seconds. The application form uses the phrase, the undersigned desires to connect. I've got a real problem with that. It should say the undersigned applies for, because when you use that awkward turn of phrase, it gives the appearance that the form is a voluntary application. And my understanding is impact fees, if not assessed under statute, may be voluntarily paid. The appearance is it gives an unknowing applicant a voluntary payment of an impact fee that they aren't aware that they're volunteering for. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Will?
Hello, my name is Will Lowery. I live at 602 Center Circle here in Salado. I actually had a larger set of notes than Jay did to try to cram in 3 minutes tonight, but I don't think I want to use that. I initially registered to make a public comment because of the shock that I experienced when reading the posted agenda items that were out on the village website, where a focus on what you as our leaders tonight are supposed to be doing is determining what type of punitive measures do you feel you want to exert your power to carry out. Respectfully, that is so premature at this point. Over the past few days, I've had more contact with ownership in Salado than I have, I think, in the entire time that I've lived here. Respectfully, you need to get in touch with the members of the community who elected you to office. You need to listen to them and hear their concerns. When you're discussing punitive measures from an owner who has not connected yet, that is hurtful and offensive. Many of you are my friends, and I respect you. There are valid concerns that have not been addressed. There are valid concerns that multiple owners have come to each of you individually, discreetly, because, like the other speakers have mentioned, we love Salado. We don't want to be drugged through the mud in the press. Surrounding communities seem to take glee at when they have another Salado article. That is not what we want. We are members of this community. We have contributed for years. We will continue to do so. was infuriated and hurt when I saw that you all chose to put on your agenda a discussion about punitive measures. I've heard so many comments from other owners that are justifiably confused. They don't understand how this works. I can assure you that when my friends and neighbors started calling me saying, hey, Will, what are you going to do about the sewer thing? Well, I didn't know. I was completely uneducated. I had to go out and actually research to find out what the norm was. How does it happen? What is an impact? What is appropriate? I can tell you, as you already read in the letter that I already submitted, every resource I have used suggests to me that the manner in which Salado, as the attorney said, is being applied is unique. It is not how other municipalities do this. Removing the, whether it's legal or not issue, think about the real life situations that what you are mandating is having on people who own property here and have been generating the tax resources that fund this very body. I know my time's up. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Alderman, earlier, I'm Tim Fleischer. I'm representing a property at 95 South Church Street, Salado, Masonic Lodge, of which I am the secretary. I've presented each of you with a copy of the letter, Mayor, earlier, to hand out to the alderman, that is signed by Brian Arnett, who is the master of Salado Lodge. He is not here. He is with his son doing one act play. Our senior warden had neck surgery this week, and our junior warden is out of state. Therefore, it falls on me. Despite the best efforts of Salado Masonic Lodge to comply with the mandatory connection to the sewer system, our application was denied. Late in the afternoon, September 27th, after sitting for 2 weeks with the village, we only learned that we were turned down when we made a second phone call to the village to check on that application. In our application for the impact fee payment schedule, we requested the following: a $750 payment on September 13th, the day of our application, followed by three $1,000 payments on the anniversary of that application, September 2020, 21, and 22, for the total of $3,750 for one living unit equivalent. This is for a property that historically uses less than 1% of the 100 gallons per day LUE level. The lodge uses less than 30 gallons per month historically, regardless of summer or winter. For the record, the LUE of 100 gallons per day, or $3,000 a month, recommended by the engineer that you paid $40,000 to, is about half of the TCEQ state standard, as well as the LUE equivalents of several other surrounding cities that have recently adopted impact fees for sewer service. The 100 gallon per day limit is lower than the assumed conversion for wastewater treatment of 185 gallons per day found on page 9 of the impact fee study. LUE is a standard definition of what an average household uses per day in water that is to be treated by the sewer system. For residential customers, the village adopted the winter month usage so that water put on lawns, etc. during spring, summer, and fall were not part of the equation. For non-residential customers, the village adopted a year-long average for determining the initial LUE. Non-residential customers will be charged multiples of the LUE that is already far below the industry standard, resulting in inflated LUE standards and inflated sewer bills that are based on Salado water supply. This is the poisonous fruit. This is the reason that the village only has $4,100 in $100 sewer system service deposits. That's according to your own last financial records. We wonder if that $4,100 includes the customers that were already tied into the state coach sewer plant. We also wonder if they're part of the so-called 47 to 50% we're in the process. We wonder if Salado Masonic Lodge is considered among those 50%, even though our application was rejected because of so-called changes in the impact fee payment application paperwork. We also refuse to sign the document that forces us to lie. Record, Salado Masonic Lodge does not desire to tie into the wastewater treatment system, nor does Salado Masonic Lodge desire to pay an impact fee out over 4 years or at all. We are being forced to by your own ordinance, and that is how I, as Secretary of the Lodge, by the direction of my members, corrected the document that I signed on September 13th. In order to avoid criminal penalties of $5,000 per day, per your ordinance and per your posted agenda. Those are public documents that are the Village of Salado. We did that to avoid having the village come on our property and install a system against our wishes. We are good neighbors. We are working with a neighboring property to grant it easement across our property in order to save that neighbor untold thousands of dollars that you would have to pay to connect in another manner. That neighbor cannot put a line across our property until we are first connected and our septic is demolished. Will the village find that neighbor $5,000 per day? Will it forcefully connect that property in a way that will cost it multiples of what we have offered as good neighbors to them? Salado Masonic Lodge will vote on Monday, October 6th, whether to pay the total impact fee in one lump sum so that none of us have to sign a document that forces us to lie about the situation. We will also vote to have our protest put on the record when we present that payment to the Village of Salado, so that history will know the truth. I want this, I'll provide a copy to the village secretary, and I suggest that other speakers do the same.
My name is Morris Foster. I have an office at 80 South Main, and I own multiple properties here in Salado. I think it goes without saying, one, you haven't seen me here very much, and most of the people in the audience know me, and the last thing I want to do is be here. The manner in which this city is handling the sewer situation and the citizenry of Salado is an embarrassment. I hear it all the way in Austin. I hear it in Houston. It's an embarrassment. I heard tourism and so on. This is detracting from that more than any of the money you're spending on the budget. My family has been here over 100 years. I'm not sure there's very many people in the room who could hold their hand up and say they've been here 100 years. My dad was, my dad plus 4 other guys were the people who put Salado on the map. Unfortunately, they're both dead. He left me with the responsibility that should things go askew, son, you need to stand up. And that's the reason I'm here tonight. I've had numerous discussions, not with any of you, but with your city manager. I've offered him several alternatives to work through this situation in some amicable way. The city needs a sewer system, but not at the cost is coming. There's been no action. Everybody's been talking tonight. There's been no action. And my reason, I'll let you have the rest of the time back here tonight is y'all are not going to listen to me, but these people out here to know that with no communication, they leave us no alternative but to seek relief in the courts. I know how to do that. I'm putting, as many know, my full financial resources, my contacts in Austin, starting with the governor, and all of my brain power. Thank you for listening to me tonight. And I just suggest that the little thing you sent out, it was so inflammatory. Next time you do something, you might want to think about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Melanie Kirchmeier. I live at 11882 Stinnett Mill. I own 860 North Main on Main Street here in Salado, and also several other properties within the village limits. I've been an elected official, and I know the stress, and I know the difficult decisions you have to make. I'm not here speaking in public forum because I want to. I feel like I need to. I've paid my application fee, I paid my impact fee, and I'm waiting for the people to put my sewer in. We're going to pay well over $10,000 to run the line from the back of my office to the front street. That doesn't count the impact fee. The entire connection to the sewer is going to be in excess of $15,000 for just me. The costs are already a tough pill to swallow, but the threat that I saw on the village website is unimaginable. $5,000 per day penalty, not to mention a criminal penalty. I'm not a criminal, and I don't ever intend to be one. The fourth paragraph that's in your package in the septic proposal in front of you tonight is extremely offensive to me. I'm not connected, and you're talking about me. I hope you consider the wording in the future agendas to reflect goodwill and cooperation with us business owners who are trying to connect. I also want to speak about my longtime friend. She is financially unable to connect to the sewer system. She can't afford it, guys. She can afford no additional bills, period. She can't afford the impact fee. She can't afford to finance the amount. She can't afford the $60 a month. She has repeatedly contacted the village, and I think most of you she's contacted. Now, the added stress of criminal charges and the added stress of fines have completely put her over the edge. She doesn't sleep, she doesn't eat, and she's extremely worried about her future. Perhaps with the financial hardship, they can defer a connection until a property sells, or perhaps they no longer live in the property. She needs some relief. We're a village, and we support each other, and we find solutions. Threats of fines and criminal penalties are not what Salado is about. We love Salado, and we need to show everyone that we love Salado. It was pointed out to me this week by a very good friend that if I complain, I need to offer solutions. So my solutions are, we need to stop with threats to the businesses because it is a very, very complicated process. And I have spent months trying to figure out how to work around water lines, easements, and through hundreds of feet of concrete. I'm trying to comply. I just need a little bit of time. We also need a deferment plan for the owners that have financial hardship. Thank you.
you, Melanie. That concludes the comments that were filled out. Now, let me give you the option. There's the microphone. I know, I'm talking to anybody that wants to do it.
I wasn't able to get a sheet in tonight because of I wasn't able to make it. We had a call, but we have a property on Main Street at 209, and we've had it for about 20 years now, and it's a very burden that y'all are putting on everybody to connect, and especially the ones that we have no cost now. We have nothing that's costing us, and we're one of the ones that are going to have the grinder pump. So now, not only we're paying sewer, we're going to pay extra electricity, and if the pump goes down, now we have to repair it. So I think just this whole sewer deal and the whole was just thought out wrong. I think everybody in the whole town that could have tied on to the sewer should have been equal. There's no that across the street can be gravity flow, and then the other side of the street you got to have a pump, and you're going to pay electricity, and you're going to pay maintenance and all that. But yet somewhere else people are just having gravity flow. That's not fair. Everybody in the whole area that tied on to the sewer should have been equal, and I just don't think it was thought out. And then, yeah, all the threatening and stuff, that's wrong. I myself know people that can't afford to tie on, and it's pretty hurting. Y'all cannot do this to people. Okay? Y'all really need to think about who y'all are going to pressure to tie on. There's several people I know that do not have funding to do so. So y'all think about it.
Mayor, Alderman, my name's Jim Lassiter. I live at 230 North Main, Suite 202. I lived there for the past year, and I've been a commercial property owner here and landowner for over 17 years. In the year that I've been here, I have now served on 3 committees by invitation from the Alderman and the City Manager. The first being the Impact Fee Committee, second being chair of the Comprehensive Plan Review Committee, and the third committee, vice chair of the Lot Size Committee. I came here after living in Round Rock for 27 years, working for a major public company in real estate development most of my life. And I came here to retire, semi-retire, and enjoy a quality of life that I expected it to be. And I always enjoyed coming up here the few times I could while I owned these properties and had a full-time job in Austin. And so I tried to do my part to help this community and preserve its history and yet help position it for the future growth that is coming. And I feel like in this process that you just really I've taken a real punch in the gut in terms of your actions and your behavior with respect to this impact fee dilemma. The impact fee, when I was on the committee, if we would have understood the law at that point in time, would have had a different view of how things may have happened in that process. Unfortunately, I learned later about the law when asked numerous questions of people at the expense of what it was going to be. And we started to learn that once the rate study was done, which frankly should have been done a long time before then. And we find ourselves in a situation that we have an enormous cost on these commercial properties. Mine, I don't mind telling you now that we have a pretty clear answer to the grease traps issue, exceeds $62,000 between impact fees and installation. $62,000. And I happen to house two of the more popular restaurants in town, the pizza place and Cane's. I really wonder if I turn around, as you think commercial property owners do, and I pass that on to my tenants, what do you think is going to happen to McCain's, the most popular place in town for breakfast, coffee, kibitzing, everything else? What about the Pizza Hut where lots of kids come to? What do you think about that? And I'll just end up with I'm more than offended. I cannot believe that you'd even throw those threats in our face, not only at the end of the first 90-day period, but the second, we're going to make you pay the full amount. I will pay the sewer. You can bet on that. And I'll pay it out in accordance with the laws of the state of Texas. And if that's where it has to go to get that answer, I'm fine with that. If there's some resolution in the interim that's reasonable and fair, I'm sure we would listen to it. But I am part of Impact's Salado, and I'm very proud of it. And I'll stand behind all my effort and my time in this community. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Anyone else, please?
Okay, wasn't planning to say anything, but I know a couple things that I should pass on. Darlene Walsh at 1001 Mill Creek Drive. First of all, I've recently learned we own property, commercial property in Belton as well as in Salado. And in Belton, they connected our commercial property free, no impact fee. They destroyed our septic tank. They did everything. Why? Because improved the town of Belton. All those homes, all those businesses along there are getting redeveloped now into housing areas, into businesses, and they're getting more than the money back they put into it. And those people are very happy. They're happy because it improved the value of their property. Some of them sold their property to other other businesses or to developers who then took their land and put houses and apartments on it. And the town benefited. So, and the same thing in Gerald. I've learned recently they're expanding to other neighborhoods, and I've talked to the folk, the officials down in Gerald, free. There is no impact fee, no connection fee. They know it improves town. They reap more tax benefit from it in the long run. And so, you want to spend money in court, or do you want to spend money on making and helping the people you were hired to help? I voted for sewer because I thought it would help this town. I was part of the group that first incorporated this town and set the zoning and comprehensive plan in place. And I expected that the 4 Brazos River Authority studies, 3 or 4 that we had done up to this point, would be seriously considered. They all said, connect with Belton. Now, that was before Mr. Morris Foster made a hugely generous gift of his plan. Yes, it was old. Yes, it needed updating, but it was in place and it had a permit. And he had a system set up for sending that sewage out to his 200 acres, which we could have bought that too. But He gave us that gift. We could have upgraded it. It would have served our town, which we all voted for helping our town. I never heard about sanctuary when I voted. That came after the vote. Had I known that, I wouldn't have voted for it, because my focus is on helping our town. And yes, I'm all for growth. I'm all for development. But they could have come on to our system without us building a $5 million plant up there. And we would have all been better for it. We wouldn't be in so much debt. And so I'm just a developer who looks for the most cost-effective way to get something done. And I'm sorry we didn't look at the other ways to get something done. Thank you.
Anyone else? I want to say to you is that I appreciate the professional way. And can you hear me now? I want to say thank you for the professional way in which you presented your business. It was excellent. And you did it in a manner that was professional, competent, and caring. So I thank you for that. We're going to need to talk to our lawyer about this. So I'm going into an executive session. I hope it will not take long, but I asked you to stay. I know you're tired. Got heavy agendas. I'm going to ask you to stay and see what happens.
Your Honor, this executive session, we're going into exactly what are we going to talk about in the executive session?
We were going to talk about what was presented here tonight. We're going to talk about what we are, what it says on that sheet of paper.
Consultation with the lawyer.
Okay.
Is the lawyer here?
No, it's going to be a conference call. Coming out of this session, we're going into an executive session.
Mayor, as you go into executive session, you need to cite the clause you're going in under. And then if you're going into a consultation with legal counsel pursuant to Chapter 551071 of the Texas Local Government Code, and you cite the time that you're going in, which is 8:18.
Are y'all going to retire to